is the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connelly as Norman Harrington.
The Weber family has been locked in a conspiracy of silence concerning the bluff incident for the past 12 hours. Now Chris Weber has disappeared, and a frantic Lee wonders if this means their pact has been broken.
Where is he?
Who?
Chris.
Well, isn't he at home?
Oh, come on, Sandy.
Well, his door was closed when I left this morning. I thought he was asleep. You were.
When did you see him last?
Well, last night you were there.
Did he say anything?
You heard everything he said. You're hurting me.
He must have told you.
Told me what?
Where he was going.
Are you kidding?
Well, he took his suitcase.
Don't believe it.
Don't try to pull anything on me, Sandy. You do know something, don't you? Talk. Talk or you'll be a wife with a busted arm.
I don't know anything. I just think if he wants to leave, you ought to let him. Get you some coffee. Treat him like he was still a little kid. Maybe he doesn't like to be fussed over. Maybe he wants to live his own life, make his own mistakes, make his own decisions. Maybe that's why he's gone. Maybe he wants to be free.
He's blind. He still needs somebody to take care of him.
I need you more than he does now. I really need you.
You don't mean anything to me. Chris is the only one that matters, the only one.
Look, no matter what happened on the bluff, no matter whose fault any of it was...
Stop it!
Lee, Lee.
Let go of me.
Don't.
I've got to find him.
Leave him. Let him go.
I can't. Don't you understand that? I can't let him go.
Well, you would pick this morning to be late?
Suppose that means good morning.
It means I have to talk to you. Where were you last night?
It's none of your business.
You didn't go home, did you?
I stayed at Mother's.
Why?
I can't stand Stephen questioning me.
Well, then tell him.
I can't.
Oh, Betty, you mean you'd let your marriage go on the rocks rather than tell Stephen he's Ann's brother?
I don't want to hurt him. Not any more than he's already been hurt by me or anyone else.
Well, then tell him.
No.
Then I'll tell him.
This is between Stephen and me.
Oh, I wish it were. I wish I could walk away from it. But I can't. I'm not going to let you ruin your marriage whether you want to or not.
Rod, I'll tell him that what his mother said about you and me was true.
You're kidding. You think he's going to be less hurt if he thinks that you and I...
Don't tell him about Anne.
You're amazing.
I'm absolutely amazing. Don't tell Stephen.
Well, tell Miss Howard to come right in.
Hello, Stephen.
Anne? Is anything wrong?
Oh, nothing's wrong. I just got a notice that my father's belongings had arrived. I'm going down to the railway station to pick up the trunk, and I thought maybe you could come with me.
Well, I really can't get away this morning.
Oh? I see.
I do have other clients, Anne.
Yes, I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me. guess I felt that you never really treated me as a client when you bought the headstone from my father's grave and went with me to Boston when he was dying. You didn't do that as a lawyer. You did that as a friend.
Well, maybe that's where I made my mistake.
What's happened, Stephen?
Well, let's just say that the present is slapping me around a little too much for me to think about the past right now. Yours or anybody else's.
You know, we're both a lot alike. We both clam up when we've been hurt. But I never had to do that with you. You always made me feel comfortable and safe. I'm sorry I don't work that way for you.
Have you seen Chris?
No, Lee, I haven't.
You going to read to him today?
I don't think so. He didn't mention anything about it.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Well, he left the house this morning before I woke up. Just took off.
Maybe he went on an errand or something.
Well, he could have left a message. You think he went by your house?
I don't think so. He knows where to find me. I'm always at the hospital or the bookstore all day.
You two really stay in touch, don't you? Why didn't you do like I told you to and get him to go back to Boston?
I guess I don't follow orders too well.
You sure don't. But I thought since you were dealing with somebody that's blind and handicapped, maybe you'd want to help.
I do want to help him.
You've got a sharp tongue, honey. But you're going to learn how to follow orders.
Right, Mr. Faraday. There's 5 column inches the first week and then 3 the following week. Yeah. No, I understand, right. Okay, thanks for calling. Hi, daughter.
Hello.
Well, to what do I owe this unexpected pleasure?
I have to talk to you.
Okay, sure. Want to sit down, or shall we go out and get some lunch?
Oh, here would be fine. I just saw Lee Weber outside. Gosh, he frightens me.
What do you mean he frightens you? What did he say to you just now?
It's just the way he looks, the way he talks. He acts as if he owns Chris. He's even tried to bully me into getting Chris to leave town, go back to Boston.
You never told me that.
It didn't seem important. Anyway, that's not why I came in here. Chris Weber told me something the other night, back at the house.
Yeah?
He made me promise not to tell anybody, but I don't know if I can do that.
Why not?
Because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't tell somebody.
Well, supposing you let me in on what Chris told you, and then we'll decide together what's important and what's not important.
Chris said it wasn't Anne who caused his accident.
And how long has he known that?
I guess he's known it all along, deep down. But it was only the other night that it came to the surface, after you and Sandy left.
And he doesn't intend to tell Anne? Knowing what it means to her?
No.
I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe it.
He has a reason. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
What do you mean he has a reason? What are you driving at?
Well, why would he want to go on punishing Anne? He knows what it would mean to her to tell her the truth. There's one possible reason, isn't there?
He's protecting someone?
He has to make a choice. It must be a very difficult one.
Of course, it's Lee. His own brother, Lee, and that makes sense, too. All that violence, all that combustible hostility for crying out. My kids have been acting out for hates and resentments all the time. Lee he's just the perfect type for it. Alice, listen. Chris was wrong to tell you about that and expect you to keep quiet. But I know he wanted to get it off his own conscience. But all he succeeded in doing was just making it your responsibility.
He trusted me.
Listen to me. Chris is blind. See, there's nothing can be done about that. But this is Anne's life. This is her whole life. You can't expect her to spend it in a prison for something she didn't do. I mean, you can't condemn her to that.
He'll never trust me again. He'll know I've broken my word.
Why do you suppose he told you in the first place? Here he was, faced with this really impossible choice. So he put it into your hands because he does trust you.
You made me promise him.
Let me handle it. It's my responsibility now.
I had no right to give it to you.
No, but then I am your father. I'll see you a little later.
Have you heard from him?
No.
I've looked under every rock in this town. Mr. Carson?
Lee, I'd like to talk to you.
Is this about the other night, Mr. Carson? Well, let me offer you an apology from right up front. Chris tells me that after a couple of drinks, I become very obnoxious. But that was the day that I got fired, so I figured I was entitled to it. You know what I mean?
You're obnoxious, all right, but not just because of the other night, and not just because of a couple of drinks. You just upset my daughter very badly.
Yeah. Chris turned up missing this morning. He just took off and didn't tell anybody where he went. I guess that's why I'm so jumpy.
Well, Chris seems pretty well able to take care of himself. Why don't you just stop breathing down his neck?
Well, Chris is fine when he's sitting down with nice, friendly people, like when you invited him to dinner the other night. But out in that cold, cruel world, there's not so many friendly people, especially when you're blind.
Now, look, I know Chris is blind, Lee, and I know that you sent him to school, but you can't run his life for him. So why don't you just let him alone? And why don't you let his friends alone before you get yourself into real trouble?
Chris is my brother, and I'm within my rights looking out for him, and I intend to do it.
You think looking out for Chris involves harassing Ann Howard and making threats?
Look, Mr. Carson, I thought you were the one guy that could see things my way. This town stuck a bum rap on you, and you fought it. Well, my family's had a bum rap, too. It hasn't been the greatest life trying to scrape up the dough to put my brother through school, but I did it. Now, I don't want any medals for it, but I don't want to see it blown down the tubes because of some hysterical blonde that won't take the rap for what she did.
Did you see her do it, Lee? I mean, did you actually see Ann push Chris?
Yeah, I saw her.
All right, Lee. But if you say 3 words to Allison that are out of line, I swear...
You're what? You see, it isn't so hard to get worked up about somebody when you really care about them, is it?